It's the grandson of Right Thought. Welcome to the School of Marvelous Life. Consider today all of what you've done. And I mean everything. Everything that you did today. And once you're done considering it all, I want you to think how many of those things were for Abba or for the world. Just want you to consider for a moment. Those things that you did, how many things off of that list would actually be pleasing to the Father? Something that He requires that you do. And then how many things on that list are worldly requirements? Things that the world requires that you do. And if you're in that world, the old world that is, then you'll realize that most of what you're doing is only impressive or only really matters or counts for something temporal in this world. Most of what you're doing, that's the reason you're doing it. So then most of the labor that you do is actually against God or has nothing to do with God at all. You see? So the book of Ecclesiastes that's written to the called out ones told us that all was vanity. That's what I meant about the old world and the new world. The ones that are a part of the new world only were called out of the old. You see? Ecclesia, the called out ones. If you're called out, you had to be called out of something. Well, what were you called out of? The world. And called into the new world. You see? And so he told you that all was vanity. Because he knows the tendency of the old world is to have you chasing up things that are temporal, things wherein there is no profit, or in other words, things that are vanity. Don't take my name in vanity. Don't take my name in vain. I am doing this. I am that. I am doing this. As long as men are doing that in temporal things, they're taking his name in vain. Men need to learn to take the Father's name in truth. See, the true worshipers worship him in spirit and in truth. And like I've said to you guys, if he told you the new worshipers are the spiritual worshipers that worship in spirit and truth, what were the old worshipers of the old world? And you see this same dilemma with Yahusha and the people of his day. Okay, I'm not of that world. You guys keep talking about trying to keep alive. It won't live forever. It's temporal. I come to give you life eternally. You see that where I am, there you may be. You see that there? Well, where are you trying to take me? To the eternal world? Out of the old world? If there wasn't no need in you being translated into a new world, then why would he tell you to be transformed? And the translation that takes place is mental. It's done in the mind. It's done in the inward parts. You see? Because like I've stated, I want you to consider most of what you do. And think about a lot of things that you don't do because you were taught that it was wrong. And see, for the little flock especially, listen up to this part of the message, because this is part of the message that we have been without as the little flock. You see? The part that it tells you about the differences and being this new creature and coming into this new world, taking on the new mind and this transformation. You see? Because part of that transforming your mind is what's wrong, right? I mean, what's right and what's wrong. It's that simple. What's right and what's wrong. That's what transforms in you. So you've been living your whole life taught by men what was right and what's wrong. Father doesn't want that anymore. Same thing Yahusha was dealing with in his day, correct? See how it's simple? It's not really hard. It's men and then there's spirit. And by men, I mean flesh. There's flesh and then there's spirit. And the flesh world doesn't want to go away. It doesn't want to die, so it seeks to save its own life. Well, it will lose it doing that. Trying to save itself, it will destroy itself because it's temporal. It was never meant to last eternally. That world was never meant to last eternally. So then why would somebody think you can do something to eternally make yourself clean in that world, eternally make yourself righteous in that world, eternally do anything of value in that world? You can't. That's why you have to be translated out of it and become a new creature. There would be no need of the new if the old was sufficient. So in other words, if your old life in the flesh was sufficient for you, there would be no need for you to be given a spiritual life and be changed in the twinkling of an eye, and the corruption being put off and the incorruption being put on. There will be no need for none of that. You see what I'm telling to you? He wouldn't have made any escape if the old was sufficient for you. But if you realize what your life was, like Paul did when he said, "Oh, wretched man that I am," then now you see it. And now you see you need salvation from it, not something else. You need salvation from your flesh. You see, just like Paul said, "O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me?" Deliver means to save, or salvation. Who shall deliver me from this body? See how he puts that word there? The flesh body. Because there's a law working in that flesh body. The old world law. That wherever you seek to do good, evil is present with you. That's right. The flesh is an accuser. You see? The flesh mind accuses you of not being smart enough, of not being fast enough, of not being good enough, of not being all kinds of things. I'm not. That's the flesh mind. It doubts that it is anything. You see? And that's why it can't be subject to I am. That's why. Can the cricket be made straight? Can the leopard change its spots? All right then. So the same thing goes with the righteous and unrighteous. The unrighteous, they are what they are. Doesn't matter how it looks, what they've done physically to change their life. Yes, they've changed their clothes. Okay. Okay. Yes, they've changed. They don't cuss anymore when they talk. Okay. So do you really believe that's made them righteous? Because if you do, then you're not wise. You're not wise as a serpent. You may think you're wise, but you ain't even wise than a damn serpent. You see that there? But he told you to be wise as a serpent. He told you to be. So you need to be cunning with your mind when you're thinking, so that you won't be deceived, because he warned you over and over and over about that very thing, being deceived. A deceiver deceives you with cunning, but if you yourself are cunning, then you won't be deceived. See that there? That's why he told his elect to be wise as serpents, so that you won't be deceived. No serpent can deceive a serpent. Now, why do you think Moses, when he threw down his staff, it turned into a serpent? Why do you think that? Huh? Because it's wisdom against wisdom. The magicians of Egypt threw their staff down and it became a serpent, which means, oh, it was crafty and wise what they said when they argued. But when Moses argued back, he was just as wise, which means he was even more wise, which means his snake gobbled up their snakes. His wisdom gobbled up their wisdom, is what it means. He was more cunning than the magicians. A magician is cunning, isn't he? Well, Moses was more cunning than the magician. You see that there? Just like Elijah was more cunning than the prophets of Baal. Do you see it there or not? All right then. So you should be the same way. Shouldn't you? I mean, I would say you should. So then you won't be tricked. You won't be deceived. Like I said, person changed their clothes. Okay. So they used to have gold teeth. They took the gold teeth off. Okay. They used to sag. Now they pulled their pants up. Okay. Why are you wasting your time looking at outward appearance? Because that ain't got nothing to do with it. See, that ain't wise to do that. That's how a nigga would trick you. Okay, I want this guy to think I'm righteous, so I'll just dress righteously, talk righteously. In other words, I'll clean the outside of the cup. Okay, did you read Psalm at all? Did you read about David's enemies? Maybe you didn't, so let me enlighten you. David's enemies talked smoothly to him. They talked like they loved him and flattered him with their speech, but war was in their heart. So I don't give a damn how a nigga sound. Oh, he took the cuss words out when he talked to me. Now he's a good-hearted person. That doesn't mean he's a good-hearted person. It doesn't mean that. It just means he cleaned the outside of the cup. He cleaned the area where you can hear and see it. That's not Christ's kingdom. Pow! See, whack-a-mole, pow! That's what we do. You're doing labor in a kingdom Christ ain't even his. It ain't even his. And you labor in there. He said labor in the kingdom. How you gonna labor there if you don't know where it's at? Now I'm asking you, where it's at? If you say somewhere other than in yourself, then you don't know nothing. It's that simple. You don't know. You don't know where to look. If you don't know where to work at, then you can't get to the job on time. You can't get to the job. You don't know what the job is. You don't know nothing. Niggas say, yeah, be there at 7 o'clock in the morning. You don't even know where it's at. Same thing with the kingdom. That's what I'm asking you. He said labor there. How can you labor there if you don't know where it's at? You can't. That's the answer. Ain't no needing. That's all, folks. You can like a damn dolphin. You can like a damn dolphin. You ain't gonna get the right answer. Just tell the truth, then you'll get the right answer. See that there? That's how we gotta be about this. Very simple. Sticking to Yahusha. That way, when people tell us what sin is, we can actually tell them what sin is. Because didn't they try to tell Yahusha what sin was? Look at this woman, Yahusha. She was caught in the very act. What say you? Why do you think that's there? It's just there just cause? That's why? Nope. It's because they didn't judge righteous judgment. Now see what Yahusha told them. If they did judge righteously. And then they didn't. So then you know they didn't because they rejected him. So that should tell you that they judged wrong. Now why did they reject Christ? Why did they reject him? How did they feel about his outward appearance? Read the prophets. The prophets will tell you. How did they feel about his outward appearance? So does he come any way outwardly that would allure to you? No. So that's because he's not of that kingdom. And he said he wasn't. You judge outward appearance. I don't. I judge the heart and the reins. That's not on the outside of nobody. So while y'all keep thinking that it is, you're going to keep thinking what sin is, and you're going to keep thinking what righteousness is, and you're going to be wrong about both. You're going to be wrong about both. You ain't cleaning the inside of the cup, then you're just wrong about anything else you clean. If this is about some wine drinking that's going to occur, then it matters what the inside of the cup looks like and is like. I'm going to pour the wine in there to drink it, aren't I? But you really think I'm going to leave the inside dirty and filthy, but I looked at the outside and said, well, it's not sagging. It's not cussing. He's walking and talking like this. He has a Bible in his hand. Well, he must be clean. That doesn't make a man clean. That's all it is when you read the Bible, over and over and over and over. There's one world trying to judge, they're judging wrong, and then the true world is judging righteousness, and that's Yahusha. Okay, y'all said we should stone her. I say give her grace. Now, if they were right, then then Yahusha would have had to walk away. But he didn't. They did. So then he triumphed over them, didn't he? Yeah. Righteous judgment overpowers outward appearance, doesn't it? Yes, it does. If you knew a person's heart, then would you judge them wrong, no matter what they did? Even if it looked harmless, their heart was wicked, like David said. War in the heart, even though they outwardly look like they're not. But as long as you're one of those children who can't get past the how it look, then you can't judge the war in the heart. You can't see that. So guess what happens to you? You get your throat slit in the night. Your house gets broken up by an enemy. You get betrayed. You get backstabbed. You get mistreated. But if you knew that that was the characteristics of the person you're dealing with, you just let them do it. And you're knowing that they're going to do it. That's what Yahushua did with Judas. So that's what I do with people that's like that. They think they can get right next to me, be evil as hell, and I won't notice it because I didn't say I did. I'm not of that kingdom where I have to do labor, which means say outwardly, I judge the heart. That's silently. And you're a fool if you're going to tell me that you're doing something wicked and you don't know you are. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. See, I stopped taking responsibility for people's piss poor action. I let them take responsibility for it. In other words, if they do something to mistreat me, to so-called trick me, to try to deceive me, to do any harm to me, it doesn't mean anything about me. See? That has nothing to do with who I am, what you're doing to me. If you attack me, whether it works or not, or whether you think it works or not, the fact that you're attacking me tells me the kind of person you are. It doesn't matter that you don't think I see you attacking me. That's irrelevant. I don't have to tell you what I see. Why should I? When you should know it's in your own heart. See? I got to tell you you're a wretched man? Paul didn't need anybody to tell him that. His own conscience could tell him that. So you have a problem with your conscience? Well, maybe it's seared. And that's a personal problem. It doesn't mean I'm anything. Because you're cruel and you mistreated me, that means I'm something? Okay, so was Yahushua something because Judas betrayed him? And before he went to betray him, Yahushua said, go and do what you're going to go do. Who's going to betray you, master? The one that dipped his hand in the sop. So I know who's going to do it. See there? But how did Judas look outwardly to people? How do you think he looked? Who's he hanging out with? Who does he pledge his allegiance to? That's right. So now because you sold me out for 30 pieces of silver, that means something about me is wrong? No, it's got to do with you and your heart. Shoot, that's got to do with your heart. You can't tell me you sold your friend out for nothing righteous. You can't. So don't even try to. But people try to because they try to do it within themselves. And that's what I mean. Everybody got a conscience. See? It's either seared or it's not. It doesn't mean you don't have one. Everybody does. Everybody got one. But some people's is seared. They decided, I'm not listening to it anymore. I'm not paying heed or giving any energy to that voice anymore. It's the only difference. And then there are some who do. So that goes on in your heart, that conversation between you and your conscience. You see that there? And that's what will tell you what you're doing is wrong or not. So that's all you need to listen to. That's why he says, let men be a liar. Every man be a liar. Not some, every one of them. So there's many times somebody will tell you that you're sinful, that you're wrong, that you're wicked, when all along you just sound that way. Or you just look that way. The Jews were very particular about cleanliness, correct? Yes, they were. So when they saw a man like Christ, would they consider Christ to be a clean man or an unclean man? Well, read the record and see. You're eating with unwashed hands, dude. You guys are, oh God, you and your men are unclean as hell. You have a devil. That means an unclean spirit. You are the devil. You're a wine bibber. You're a glutton. See what I'm trying to tell you here? You're unclean, you're unclean. They're telling Christ he sinned, but the Bible says he did no sin. So who I'm going to believe here? Men that said he sinned? That said he drank too much wine? That said he ate too much food? Or he didn't wash his hands before he ate? I'm going to listen to you tell me he sinned when his own father said, this is my beloved son in whom I am well pleased? I'm going to listen to you over Abba? Abba said, let me be true and every man a liar. So what you think I'm going to do? What you think I'm going to do? But when you let men be true in your life, they just lie to you because he said all men lie. If a man's talking to you and he's not giving you Abba's words, then he's lying to you. That's simple. Unless you think Abba's lying by saying that, because that's what Abba said. So you think Abba's a liar when he tells you all men lie. So then if the man ain't giving you my word, then he's just a liar. He's wasting his breath talking to you if he ain't giving you my word. Because I would tell a nigga straight to his face, I don't live by every word that proceeded out of your nasty, stinking ass, halitosis, breath having ass, gingivitis, 16 teeth, missing ass mouth. That's not how I'm going to live. I'm going to live by